Welcome back here today on the beautiful campus of Florida Panhandle Technical College. Another in our series of trying to explain exactly what we do here on the campus. Over 40 degree and certification programs, from some of the old classic subjects such as welding and culinary, all the way up to state-of-the-art drafting, cybersecurity, and even the brand new drone program. Here right now with Zane and Dylan, both members of the electrical program. If you're a regular viewer of the show, you've seen us talk to students and instructors from drafting, from welding, from cosmetology, from body and collision work, pharmacy tech, cybersecurity, pretty much from one end of the spectrum to the other, over 40 degree and certification programs. Today, when we come back, we're going to talk to Zane and Dylan about just that, the electrical program, and maybe some of what they enjoy, maybe some of what they don't so much enjoy. But at the end of the day, the opportunity to get a well-paid job, to retool your life, to take advantage of what we call a career in a year. As we say, one life, 1 year, one great career right here at Florida Panhandle Technical College. We'll be right back. Welcome back. As mentioned, our guests today are Zane and Dylan from the electrical program. We went over and we talked to your instructor, and I think you guys flipped a coin to decide who was going to come, but we do appreciate you taking the time. You know, so often we wonder why more people don't know about Florida Panhandle Technical College, and in reality, we don't take the time to let them know about it. Dylan, you said that you're not in technically the electrical program, but you're in another one of the sub-programs. What exactly is the name of your program?
It is Industrial Maintenance, Electrical and Instrumentation Technician.
So you would deal, and correct me if I'm wrong, with maybe the computerized controls down at the pellet plant, for instance, and that sort of thing.
From that all the way down to actually replacing pumps and drivers, valves, stems, all the associated electronics. It's very diverse and broad spectrum work.
Yeah, and being that diverse, obviously more opportunities in any given area to find a job.
Yes.
How old are you?
24.
So you had already been out of high school before you decided to come back to this school?
Got out of high school, went to a little college, stopped going, worked full-time for a little while, and then decided to come back and do something that was in my line of interest that I felt I could make a career out of.
Was it a little bit tougher not making that transition directly from high school, having had the freedom of the real world, and then having to force yourself to come back to a classroom setting?
It wasn't. After I realized I wasn't going to be able to do what I wanted without the education to back me up. College wasn't for me. The technical college is more my learning style, hands-on. You get to put your hands on it, do it before you actually do it in a work environment, and we've got a lot of good teachers that help you in achieving that goal.
Zane, how old are you?
I'm 18.
So you just got done with high school?
I graduated in May.
Okay. So you didn't wait, you made the transition directly to the technical college. It's only been a little bit over a year that we have been Florida Panhandle Technical College. We were Washington Holmes Technical Center. And we've found across the country that when a technical center becomes a college, that we automatically see an increase in enrollment because of the stigma attached to the VOTEC or to the technical center versus college. As a high school student, did that make a difference to you that you would be going to a college?
Well, when I contemplated dual enrolling here my senior year, but I didn't. I took a bunch of AP courses, a bunch of college classes, and then I contemplated going to some other community colleges, but I decided that I wanted to make a career out of this, and so I decided to come to the technical school, the college.
Dylan, obviously you must have had some preconceived notions going in. You had some world experience, like I say, so you knew what you were getting into to some extent. What your perceptions were about the school and about the program, and now that you've been in it a while, what's the difference between the two, and what did you find to be accurate?
Like you said, the stigma of VOTEC leads you to believe that you're not necessarily in a higher form of education. I promise you it is. It's a lot more challenging than what you would expect walking in. There's a lot more science and math involved, understanding science and at least my part of the program, understanding chemicals and different reactions that happen in systems goes into it. It's very much in line with a science or engineering profession, but just in a different line.
No, that makes sense. And let me continue down that road. There's the old joke about the doctor on a Sunday, his plumbing gets stopped up and his commode won't flush, so he calls the plumber, and the plumber comes in, he works for 15 minutes, he gives him a bill for $200, and he says, man, $200 for 15 minutes work, I don't make that much money, and the plumber says, neither did I when I was a doctor. There's a lot of stigma sometimes about the guy who gets his hands dirty, about the guy who's out there turning wrenches, but at the end of the day, not only are they making a good living, but they're making a good living much more quickly than that person who chooses to go the four-year college route. We're not here to bash or to slam four-year colleges, but the reality is that high school student that goes right to college comes out in 4 years, if they're lucky, with $120,000, $130,000 worth of school debt and really no marketable skills. They have the sheepskin, the degree that allows them to get into that next job interview, but they really don't have that opportunity to walk into a business, start punching a time clock and making money. In a year here, you can do exactly that. What got your interest about the course of action and the course of study that you're taking?
It applies to everyday life, not just work. You know, like you said, if you're a dentist, you're a dentist. You do work with people at your office, and that's it. The stuff I've learned, I've already applied at home. It's very broad spectrum. I just replaced some parts on my car. That understanding the associated heating and cooling of thermostats in your car is something that also applies to an industrial setting. It applies everywhere, not just in the office when you're at work.
Yeah, and it's interesting, just before we did this interview, we had a couple of young ladies from the cosmetology program, and they pointed out the fact that they're dealing with cutting hair of the public while they're in that class setting. And so not only are they learning how to deal with hair, but they're learning how to deal with personalities and people. I'm hearing the same thing from you, that it's much broader than learning what's in that book. You're learning real world skills that, like you say, you're going to use every day.
You're learning marketable skills that apply. When you go to college, there's a traditional college, there's a disconnect from what you learn in the book and what you experience when you're on the job. Here, so far, we've put hands-on stuff that you read in the book, and it's all well and good, but if you're a hands-on learner, it's very nice to put meaning to those words.
Zane, what was the motivation for you to not just come to Florida Panhandle Technical College, but for the electrical program?
Well, right after I graduated high school, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, and I thought about going to the electrical program. I had some friends that went through it and told me good things about it. And my parents actually they went to school with Mr. Curtis, and they told me that he was a really good guy, he's a good instructor. And I came the first day, and after learning, I guess one thing I like about Mr. Curtis is he'll show you how to do something, and then he'll tear it all apart and then make you do it. So it's kind of like you see how it's done, and then you have to do it. And it gets you a lot of on-hands experience, and I think that's just better than just getting book knowledge, because you're actually doing things.
And I'm glad that you talk about Mr. Green. We have many instructors here on this campus who could be out there in the real world doing these jobs, making a lot more money than they make being an instructor or a teacher. Eddie Beckworth in welding is a good example. He could be out there making $100,000 a year as a welder. Instead, he's making whatever his salary is, and hopefully by this time it's decent money, but at the end of the day, he's turning out thousands of people who are then going out and taking those well-paid jobs. Curtis is another example. Curtis Green, your instructor, a guy who's got a lot of real-world experience from his Navy days on into the electrical program. What's one of the bigger challenges with the program?
I haven't run into very many yet. We have a great class. We've got a lot of good people that are a joy to work for, which won't always be the case in the real world. I haven't run into many challenges other than staying on task, because there's a lot of different odd jobs around school that we work on. And probably the most challenging thing is staying in the book and staying on track time-wise and not getting distracted with getting too much real-world experience as opposed to moving through at the pace you're supposed to be moving.
Give me your full name and proper spelling so that we'll know that for the graphic.
Dylan Berryman, D-I-L-L-O-N, Berryman, B-E-R-R-Y-M-A-N.
Gotcha, and you do the same for me.
Zane, Z-A-N-E, Rogers, R-O-G-E-R-S.
Good, thank you. Zane, we have open enrollment for some of these classes, which means that a student can come in to a class not just once at the beginning of that semester, but at any time during the course of studies. Is the electrical program, does the electrical program enjoy that open enrollment, so you have people that are coming in over time?
Yeah, one of our classmates actually did do that after a couple weeks. Mr. Chris came in and was like, yeah, in a couple days we're going to have a new guy coming in. And me and him are about the same age. He actually went to a college, and then he was at college, and then he decided to come here. So it's kind of different. Like, I decided to come here instead of just go straight to college. And he kind of took a different route where he went to college, didn't like it, so he came here.
Well, not unlike Dylan, who did the same thing, tried school, realized that you didn't care for that, for whatever reason. What's been one of the best parts of being in Mr. Green's electrical program?
I think just all the learning experience, because he knows so much, and you can ask him any question, and not just about electrical wiring or anything, but hopefully I'll be a contractor someday and own my own business. And I mean, he's already talked to us about stuff you need to do if you're looking for that route to own your own business, how to deal with people or other personalities and stuff like that.
More of a holistic approach, talking about real world experiences. You know, this college campus is almost like a small town. If I need an electrical outlet, I call Curtis, and he sends one of you guys over, and you run a 110-volt outlet for me. Or if one of the other program needs a desk or a bookcase, they go to carpentry, and so forth. It's really nice to have that community spirit amongst those different programs. Dylan, have you experienced that, where one of the other programs needed some work done and you guys were sent?
I have. The welding department had one of their MIG machines, I believe it was, stopped functioning. We went over there, we ran through the whole circuit trying to figure out what had happened, and it turns out one of the connectors had been damaged on one of the cords running to it. And it's, you know, and Mr. Green used the example of, okay, pretend this is a production facility. What do you do? You can't stop production because this one thing's gone bad. What do you do? Splice it together, put it in a junction box, and keep rolling until we can fix it the right way later to keep that aforementioned production moving. And it's instances like that where that's real world experience. That's, you know, you can't get around it. You have to fix it now. What do you do? Not to bash engineers and people that go to college to get the similar job that I'm looking for, maybe at a higher pay scale or in a slightly different position, but similar work, is that when you're in a 4-year college, it's all in the book for the most part. You may get an internship and things like that, but you don't know the dynamics of people working together and why this guy's doing this and why this guy's doing that. You just know your very detailed, specific job. And what we've covered is a lot of safety and things like that. And with Mr. Green's experience in production facilities and things like that, is typically the guys that come in from college, traditional college, are a little bit, they have the math know-how and the book skills. They don't have the hands-on skill to be safe, or as safe in general as someone who's already been electrocuted, per se, you know, in class in a controlled environment on an accident or something like that. You know, it's a healthier way to learn, I feel, here. And we do have people that come here from 4-year to get the hands-on, or vice versa. They come here and then they go on to a 4-year to get the more rounded experience. And I think that's something that should be valued in the workplace.
Yeah, and one of the big things at this technical college is the opportunity to get financial assistance, whether it's Pell Grant, whether it's Perkins funding for the program itself, whether it's the foundation here. Zane, did you have to take advantage of any of the financial aid?
I did not. I'm on self-pay right now.
Okay.
The school, like the program in right now, it's not that expensive. But I mean, compared to like if I went to a 4-year college, it's going to be a lot expensive going that route. And I know my parents had set up an account like when I was a child, and to save that money. So now I'm pulling from that to pay for taking this course. And yeah.
Yeah, and you're very fortunate in that they were that far thinking. if you come from a large family or maybe a family that doesn't have those opportunities, wouldn't necessarily have had that opportunity that you have. That's great. What about you, Dylan? Are you taking advantage of the financial aid?
I tried to. I did not qualify. Fortunately, I do have Florida prepaid through my grandparents. They were very forward-thinking and kind of saw the rising cost of college. And I did not, for the first years I graduated high school, I didn't think VOTEX or technical colleges, things like that, accepted, because that's what I was told in high schools. They don't accept prepaid college, things like that, which they do. They didn't cover all of it because I'd already used some going to a traditional college. That paid a majority of it, and then I had to pay some out of pocket. But since I work full-time, my wife works full-time, and I go to school, I was a little bit above what would be acceptable for me to get any assistance, which I didn't need badly, but it would have definitely helped, because it's nice to have tools that are yours that you can use in class, and you kind of respect things more if you break your own tool as opposed to the school's type thing. So
yeah, and there's a lot to be said for earning your own way, and because you do appreciate things a little bit more.
Right.
So, and I'm glad that you brought that up about the Florida prepay, because I don't know, we've spoken to somebody in the past who has used that method of pay. So that's interesting, and I'm glad that our viewers get a chance to hear that. One of the things that we like about the technical college is that open enrollment that we talked about briefly, but also the dual enrollment for high school. Are you familiar with that, where a high school student can come here for half a day? And would you have taken advantage of that had you known that ultimately you'd be coming to a technical college anyway?
Absolutely. They don't move along as quickly, obviously, because they're here for a part of the day as opposed to the rest of the day. But with the dual enrollment and open enrollment and things like that, it gives people who've been here a little bit longer the opportunity to teach what they've learned to the people coming in. Because, if you teach what you learn, you remember it better, things like that, and it's a better experience for everyone given the opportunity to teach someone. I've experienced it. I've taught some other people some things, and I haven't been here very long, but there are people here who have been here a shorter amount of time than me. But one of the other guys in our class who's an older adult, has children, he's taught me some stuff that I would have never thought about. And it's nice to kind of pass it down the ladder as people come up and help them progress and give them not just technical knowledge, but life knowledge as to dealing with different personalities and things like that, and how you should approach different situations from a people standpoint. So.
Yeah, and another value of that dual enrollment is that as a high schooler, you can come here, you can get certain qualifications, maybe certification, so that when you do go on to that four-year college, you have marketable skills. You can work as an electrician's helper because you guys are in that program, or any number of fields, and make a little bit more than you would slinging burgers. Nothing wrong with working in McDonald's or a fast food, but if you're able to make $20 an hour as an electrical helper versus whatever they're paying at a hamburger joint, definitely a little bit more sense of pride, because you're doing something that's ultimately working toward your end goal, but also that you're able to make a little bit more money and get through that process more quickly. What have you found to be a challenge, Zane?
Well, when I first got here, it wasn't that big a challenge. Like getting here on time, staying and doing keeping the bookwork. There was a point in time where I was trying to take a test every day. Then you just get to a chapter and it bogs you down. You can't get your mind wrapped around it. Then I got a job at McDonald's, and working late nights, it gets harder to wake up in the morning and come here at 8 o'clock and work through the whole day.
Yeah, and being thankful that you're able to find a part-time job at all certainly wasn't slamming McDonald's or anything else, but I'm just saying that having that opportunity to have that certification to be able to make a little bit more when you went away to a college. Dylan, what about you? What have you found to be one of the more frustrating or challenging parts of being here? I know I asked you before and you didn't really have anything right at hand, but...
Along the same point as Zane, the working and having to come to school, you do what you have to do to get by. I live 40 minutes from here, and I also live 40 minutes from one of my two jobs. So it's 100 miles a day I drive between here, there, and working 6 days a week. And if you can start in high school and take advantage of that, you won't have to go through all of the stresses involved with coming here for a year and a half, working a full-time job and trying to go to school. That's the stressful part about it. I'm married and keeping my wife happy on top of coming to school and working, but she understands, and I'm thankful for that. But keeping everything in front of you instead of falling behind is probably the most difficult thing.
Happy wife, happy life. Where do you actually live?
Alpha.
Okay. So you, like many others, would be just as close to go to some of our other colleges in the area.
It would be easy to go to Chipola or, even Panama City's almost as close.
Sure.
So. But I prefer to come here. The program I'm in, as far as I know, is not offered anywhere locally except for here. And I heard a lot of good stuff about Mr. Green as well before I came in. So definitely the instructor plays a part in where you want to go.
And I'm glad you say that, because I was going to say that you'll not find another Curtis Green
Correct.
pretty much anywhere else. Zane, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
I would say, like, if you're on the fence about coming to a technical school or college, I would really look hard, like, decide what you want to do, and definitely try to get to know more about the programs before you decide. Try to get the instructor, because that also plays a big part, where if you like how he teaches, if you don't like how he teaches, and just if you're on the fence about it, you can always try college, and if it doesn't work, you can try here.
One thing we've pointed out in other interviews is that if you come in here and register for one program, get a little bit into it, realize it's not for you, better that you do have that opportunity that they afford here to go to another program. We've seen people start off in carpentry, go on to cosmetology or to pharmacy tech or wherever else, and end up with that education, with those certifications, and with a well-paid job. Anything that you would add, Dylan?
Weigh your options. Some people aren't into it as much as you would think. Make sure you're committed to it. Get your ducks in a row. If you do come, and then from what I understand, Mr. Green does allow people to come in that aren't enrolled and sit down for a day and see if they like the environment. It's not something I don't think you can do in college generally. You can't sit down in a professor's class probably for as long as you'd like to get a feel for how he is. Mr. Green will sit down. He's very personable and talk to you about anything you want to know as far as the program goes, and I'm sure that every other teacher here is the same way, because it is, like you said, a community almost in this school. You can go to anyone and ask them anything, and they'll usually give you a very good answer or point you in the right direction if they don't know.
Yeah, and we do like to point that out. I'm glad you say that. You can come into the student services, make an appointment to spend a few hours here, go around to some of the classes. Actually, we've had students who have successfully graduated and getting certifications from here at the Technical College who say they went in to interview the instructor to find out, why should I be part of your class? Mm-hmm. And I like that stance, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. You've got a long life ahead of you. That instructor has 30 more students coming in when your class gets done. Not taking anything away from the instructor, but in this case, you're the most important part of that equation. And so from a standpoint of the Technical College, it's important to us that you're in the right place, learning the right thing, again, getting that well-paid job. Best of luck to both of you, and thanks so very much for taking the time. We appreciate you taking the time away from class. Make sure you thank Mr. Green for us for allowing you to carve out the time, and hopefully maybe somewhere down the road we can talk again when you guys are closer to being finished, or when you're finished, and kind of see if we can't get your success story. So thanks again.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Here today with Zane and Dylan, both from the electrical program here at Florida Panhandle Technical College. Just one of the over 40 degree and certification programs available here. Everything from cosmetology and welding to the new cutting-edge cybersecurity and drone programs, hemodialysis, anything that you can imagine. We can help you retool your life, what we call a career in a year. We'll be right back.